guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a great day. So today's video is really fun. I have a couple guest stars here. Is that what it's called? The guest star? That's like if you're in a soap opera. I have a couple guests with me today. So me and Katora are doing another video today where we're going to be talking all things pregnancy, baby, delivery, talking you guys through both of our experiences and both of our stories. We also have, he's like getting annoyed with my hair. We have Christian here as well. He just got back from the park and that's why he's like in chill mode right now, but he won't be here for the video. But I wanted to film this part while he's here because these are our two little boys and we've had totally different experiences getting them here. And so I thought it would be cool to talk through with you guys about KK's IVF, how we conceived and their C-section and our vaginal delivery and all the good stuff and just like what our different experiences would be. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Will you say bye? Are you being shy?
The auntie saw you. I see you.
Is that a baby? We recently did the Cook With Me video and a lot of you guys are asking about questions like the differences in our pregnancies, and we've actually had totally different journeys when it comes to pregnancy and delivery and babies in general. So I thought this would be fun to just sit down and her and I will like chat and talk about our stories. And the goal is just to show that like it's okay if we don't all have the same story, right? Like that's, I think so often in motherhood, it's like there's one way of doing things, you know, like, or there's not, but women get into this hole thinking like there's only one way of doing everything, and there's totally not. Every story is unique and beautiful. So that's the goal of today's video, is just to share our totally different experiences and share with you guys that they're both great. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Do you want to talk about your IVF a little bit?
Yeah, so I did InvoCell IVF. Well, it's like mini IVF, which we did a whole video on.
We have a whole video on her IVF experience. I'll put it up here if you want to check it out.
And we got 4 embryos. We have 3 left.
That was actually a question. Somebody asked if you have embryos left.
Oh yeah, we have 3. We don't know what they are. We don't know genetically, like, or what their gender is, I guess. And then we actually have only a couple of weeks left until we have to figure out what to do with the other.
Oh really? I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yeah, they'll contact us. Well, I guess it's more like a month left. They'll contact us and give us like a warning that we have to either leave them there or move them to a different facility. And then we have to like re-up on our embryo rent.
So revisiting at that time, what to do with them. That's the first major difference, is like journey to getting pregnant was totally different.
Yeah, and so even journey to getting like a second baby will be totally different.
Yeah. So they did IVF. We had, I guess you would call it, what, natural conception. And with Christian, we were like trying, but I mean, it only took 4 months and it was like healthy and good. And I've never had any issues with anything like that. And then this baby was a little bit of a surprise. It came a little bit sooner than we anticipated. So our experiences there were totally different too.
I think though that the way that I operate, being able to plan exactly when it happens is like key for me.
Yeah.
Because a surprise.
Well, you did the waiting game for a long time.
For a very long time, and having to do that again would be horrible.
Yeah. So for baby number 2, it's like for us, we were just like, okay, let's stop being so careful, and in a few months we'll actually start trying and ovulation and all that stuff, and things happen sooner than we needed to get there necessarily. But for them, when they go for baby number 2, it will be like they're sort of just deciding like, okay, one day let's do it.
Yeah, like I just want to say, oh, I want to have a summer baby, and then we'll plan for.
That's nice though.
For that. So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work, or if we'll do a second one, we might be one and done.
Yeah. Pregnancies in general, I think we had different experiences.
Definitely did. Your pregnancy was a lot smoother.
Yeah, my first pregnancy with
Christian.
Both of them. Yeah, both of them have been really smooth. This one's getting to like, it's just harder sooner than it was my first time, but I think that's because it's a second baby, not because of the pregnancy or because of
You're
me.
just like noticing things now.
Yeah, it's
like
just
you know what to look for.
Yeah, it's my second time doing it, and I'm also chasing another kid while doing it. But
you're like full around marathons chasing him.
Just chasing a Energizer bunny.
He has no chill.
No. But in general, like, I can't complain because I have smooth pregnancies, and I realize that. Like, I've never run into any roadblocks. Like I said, we, like, easy getting pregnant, never had, like, morning sickness. Like, I would get nausea, but never had, like, actual morning sickness. And I just feel like I can't complain because even the hard points are still, like, other people's easy moments, you know? But for you ran into a ton of roadblocks, I feel like.
Yeah, I lost like 8 pounds my first trimester because I was throwing up all the time. And then I had that asthma attack that put me in the hospital.
And you thought you were going into labor at like 22 weeks
pregnant.
Yeah,
I thought my water was breaking. The hospital thought my water was breaking. And then they said, like, they tested, they were like, well, it could just be too soon to see if there's any amniotic fluid in there. So you might just have a slow leak. So I just stayed leaky my whole pregnancy and was terrified. But luckily I always had enough fluid in there for him. And I was just always sick. And and my asthma got really bad. Like I had to go on the steroid inhaler because I couldn't breathe.
And you're like a petite person. Like, to give you guys a reference, I'm 5'7". You're what?
5'3".
Sorry. But I feel like if you're petite like that, it's harder on your body because, like, I mean, he was the same size as Christian coming out, but, like, there's just less torso to take up.
Yeah,
you know?
And I have no torso.
Yeah, so you were, like, all belly.
Yeah.
So I think it was uncomfortable for you, too.
It was really uncomfortable, and I mean, I started showing at, like, 10 weeks.
Which is how I was with the second baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. You popped, like, super soon. With Christian, I took a long time to pop.
I wasn't even wanting to tell people. And we were, like, traveling. We were home.
Yeah.
In Ohio, in our hometown with all of these people. And I did not want them to know, so I was just, like, hiding.
Yeah, so pregnancies in general were very different. Also, not to mention the amount, like, the length of time. So you delivered at 37 weeks and 5 days. Mm-hmm. And that was planned, which we'll talk about in a second. But hers was 37 weeks, 5 days. My pregnancy was 40 weeks and 2 days. So fingers crossed it is not the same this time. But
I don't know how. There's no way. There's no way I could have carried him to... He would have been full term like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But our babies were like the same size. So she delivered at 37 weeks. Ezra was 19 inches.
7 pounds, 3 ounces.
7 pounds, 3 ounces. And Christian was 7 pounds, 7 ounces and 19.5 inches. So, yeah, you delivered
37 weeks, 5 days.
And our babies were still the same size. And then I guess that brings me to deliveries. So you had a C-section.
Yeah, it was scheduled. It was planned. It moved around a couple times. So he was not full term until December 27th. And apparently the week of Christmas is a very busy day at my hospital. So, or busy week. So she was going to do the C-section on December 20th. And then I saw my high-risk doctor, which all IVF patients are considered high risk because there's a lot of complications that can happen with the baby. And that doctor was like, no, you need to deliver it way before then.
I guess I should have mentioned that. So it's not like she delivered at 37 weeks just like for the fun of it.
No.
Like...
It was a necessity.
It was a necessity. And they were worried about you, like, hemorrhaging.
Uterine ruptures,
right?
And hemorrhaging because I've had so many surgeries on my uterus already.
From endometriosis.
Yeah. And so I guess because he was so big and he's always been so big, like, I could have uterine rupture, I could have hemorrhage, but also, like, where my doctor had sewed me before could pop open if I were to, like, start having real contractions on my own.
If she went into labor on her own. So they needed to be sure to get him out of there before her body did it.
Yeah.
And your body probably would have done it on its own early anyways, because you were already getting to that point.
But the weird thing is that I never dilated.
Yeah, I didn't either, though.
That's true.
I mean, I got to 40 weeks and 2 days without dilating.
That's true. Yeah, but she did say that even if it wasn't scheduled, I would have had a C-section.
Yeah, like even if you went into labor yourself,
it would have been an emergency
C-section
C-section if they hadn't planned on it.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I know people are going to ask about his ear.
Yeah. So, like you said, or like Olivia said, I am pretty petite, and he ran out of room around 25 weeks.
Oh my God.
And so ever since then, he's just been pretty smushed in there, and his ear was resting against my pubic bone, so it kind of cupped. And so this is called an ear well, and it's flattening his ear back down so that he doesn't look like a weirdo. Or he doesn't have issues with his hearing, like his eardrum will fully develop and everything.
So he's good. It's nothing huge, but he'll wear it for what, 6 to 8 weeks total?
Yeah, and he's already done. This is his second week on it, so like he was able to go to the next phase before they thought he could. So it's been going really well, and they change out the positioning every 10 to 14 days. So he goes back in a few days to get it adjusted again.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me either.
It makes sense. Like he was just like, you can even see in the sonograms. He's just
smushed in there.
Yeah.
Like we stopped being able to see his face pretty early on because he just ran out of room.
So yeah, I'm trying to think anything else with your delivery with the C-section. I think that was it. It was planned. It was very like.
It was quick.
It was quick. It was very like smooth and seamless.
The hardest part was the spinal block. That was it.
And it was like pretty calm. I mean, John and I didn't feel calm, but it was like a calm day, you know?
It was. The whole week was calm.
Yeah. And she was super calm the night before. It was like very like, okay, this is what we do. Like, okay, we're going in at this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now we have a baby. Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, on the inside I felt kind of jumpy, but also I think that I felt that way because I was laying ass out in the cold.
Yeah.
Unable to feel my body.
Yeah.
That's when it got like...
That's nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking for me. At first I was like, am I like a sociopath? Because I don't feel like I'm fine.
Like you just, well, because it was like all planned.
I
like
knew before.
You knew for weeks that's when it was going to happen.
Yeah. And I knew before I got pregnant that this was always going to be the route to get whatever baby I had here.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's scary about doing a second one, is that's going to be another major surgery.
Another C-section for sure.
Which would make that, I mean, unless I had another surgery in between, that would make 4 surgeries on my body.
And I was going to say, that's because of your previous surgeries, right? Because like so many people go for a VBAC, but
I would never
that's
be
probably
able
not
to.
an option for you. Because, again, there's like uterine rupture and everything.
She wouldn't even let me try it. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to. Like, if we decided to have another baby, I would just do what she told me to do. Yeah. She's never ever steered me wrong. So.
Yeah. And then my delivery was like the opposite.
Yours was intense.
So yours was intense. All deliveries are intense. I mean, yours was calm, but it's not like any labor and delivery is like peaceful and rainbows and massages. And they're always high energy and like high emotion.
But you had high energy people in that room.
Yeah, I had a vaginal delivery. I do have a vlog of it from a couple years ago if you're interested in seeing, but mine was, I had not dilated, or I was like effaced, but I hadn't dilated either like you.
Yeah,
and so,
I effaced but never dilated.
Yeah, and my water broke, and so I was in labor, but it took a long time to get the labor going because it took forever for my body to catch up. So I was in labor a total of 27 hours. I think like, I don't know how much, like 8 of it was active labor maybe.
I wouldn't even know if it was that long.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Because basically, like, it took a really long time for me to get to a 5, and then I went from 5 to 10, like, in an hour or so. Yeah. And it was like 2 hours of pushing, 2 hours of active pushing, which, like, when people tell me they pushed for 10 to 15 minutes, I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I know, when people say that, I'm like, wait, are you sure? Because my sister pushed for
Yeah, no. And it just was like a very, like, it wasn't, because my water broke, it's like we had no idea when it was coming. We had no idea how to plan for it. I didn't even know my water broke because it was it wasn't like in the movies.
Rush, yeah.
And so my water broke, and then we like went and got pizza because I didn't know that's what it was. And then it like continued to break.
Kept changing her underwear.
I just kept changing my underwear, and then it continued to happen, and I was like, let me call the doctor. So next time at least I'll know.
Yeah. I was like, stop changing.
I was like, I feel like I'm peeing like a lot. Like I'm peeing my pants a lot. But when you're that pregnant, like there's just random fluids.
Yeah, stuff just comes out. You don't know.
You just don't know. So it just wasn't like it wasn't as planned, the delivery. And then we had the moment where like we thought I would need an emergency C-section, and because his heart rate was dropping so much, and like it was like chaotic. And
yeah, people came in throwing scrubs at me, telling me, put this on your feet, put this on your head. And I was like, wait, what?
And yeah, and then like Jordan almost missed it, and I woke up from a nap with like nurses running in and like prepping me for surgery, which I didn't end up needing, but...
Yeah, well, because they checked, and when luckily that one nurse was like, well, let me just check again.
Yeah.
And she looked and she was like, no, she's at 9.5. We're not going to do this.
Yeah. And they're like, let's just try pushing.
Yeah. And that bought us some time until Jordan got back.
Oh my gosh. But I'm going to be so eager to see how this one goes, because they always say like the second one's faster. And like, I mean, I've heard people who had the exact or similar labor stories to me the first time, and then the second time is like nothing, like super quick. So I'm trying to manifest a situation where it's like I go into labor like 7:30 on a Monday morning, drop Christian off at daycare on the way to the hospital. I'm there for like 3 to 4 hours total, pushing for like 10 minutes maybe, but it's enough time to get comfortable. But like, it's like I've got this whole thing I'm thinking of.
This sounds like a movie.
I know. That's what I'm going for. So yeah, it was just interesting, and we both got to experience both of them. Because she was in the room when Christian was delivered. She like saw his head come out. She like held my leg for me. She was closer to it than Jordan was.
Yeah, it was his shield.
Yeah. And then I got to be there when Ezra was born too. So I think that's cool. Most people don't get to see both types of deliveries.
That was my first time seeing a delivery. Was yours?
Girl, me too. I didn't.
I never watched a video or anything. And then I was like, okay, I can do this. It's not so bad. But then when I saw his hair, I was like, Olivia did not shave. And then I was like, that hair is too dark.
Maybe that's also why I feel like you did more research than I did for delivery. Like you are a very like research planner type person.
Yeah.
And I'm more like, let me go into it blindly and see what happens. Which, like, when you're giving birth is probably not the best thing to do. I think a lot of situations that's good, but, like, I would give the advice to do your research before you give birth. And just, like, know what you're getting yourself into.
And I would say research both. Like, if you're planning a vaginal...
Oh my gosh, so true. Cause
still look it up.
I didn't do any research for a C-section, so if it wasn't for you having one, I would have no... Like, if I need one with this baby, I feel more prepared now, but... If you wouldn't have had one, I would have no idea what to do. So then postpartum recovery. Okay. Your postpartum has been smooth too.
It has been smooth, aside from nursing.
Yeah, so our nursing experiences are different too. Okay, so postpartum recovery first. Obviously, like I was recovering from a vaginal delivery. You're recovering from a C-section. So those are just different in general. I mean, you bled for like what, 2 days?
Yeah.
Like
I occasionally get like some spotting
like lighter. I was like, heavy Aunt Flo is in town for a month. And then it lightened up.
Maybe I'm like getting like good karma back from all my bad periods.
I know, you've had enough bad periods to last you this for all the kids. But I mean, I remember my doctor, after I gave birth, he was like, okay, you haven't had a period for 10 months. So now you're going to get one for a month. And I was like, yeah, okay, like, we'll see. I get light periods. We'll see if that happens. And then, yeah,
I remember feeling so bad.
Oh my gosh. So do you think part of your, like, why you haven't had as much, like, blood or whatever afterwards is because they, like, don't they, like, vacuum it out or something?
They vacuum it out and they massage my uterus before they put it back in. So they squeeze out extra stuff, too. So really, I'm just catching what she missed. I do notice, though, if I do too much throughout the day, that it'll kick in.
Yeah.
Like...
We've had that in common. I told her that too when I was recovering. It was like the littlest things will set your body off. Like you can be good and you're like, oh, I'm good to like start working out 2 weeks postpartum, and then you do laundry and it makes you bleed again.
I think though, when I wear my binder, I don't.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I noticed the opposite. Well, I had like I don't know, compression something, and when I wore it, it made me bleed more afterwards. But maybe it is because like my organs didn't like
get wrung out.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And so it was like essentially pushing all the excess
pushing it all out for you.
That's super interesting. Yeah, and then breastfeeding has been different. We're like going two totally different, or I don't know what I'm doing with this baby yet, but we have gone two totally different routes. So with Christian, I exclusively breastfed, I mean, until he had solid foods or whatever, but the first month I only breastfed, and then we introduced bottles at a month, and we had like a smooth breastfeeding journey too. Like, he latched right away. His worst problem is that he'd fall asleep as a newborn on the boob, and so we were always trying to wake him up, at least for the first like week or so. But after that, it was like I had good milk. It was like he ate good. We didn't have any problems breastfeeding at all. Like, most people run into a lot of different, it's not common to have it go that smooth.
No.
And we didn't have any issues. So I breastfed Christian until he was 15 and a half months old. And
I was like, you're going to say 15 years old now. I was like, wait.
I probably would have if I didn't get pregnant again. No, I breastfed him till he was 15 and a half months. I give myself that half. I could say 15 months old.
Listen, it's hard work.
I give myself that half month as a credit. Those 2 weeks.
They matter.
Yeah, especially those last two, since I was pregnant and it was not fun. I am giving myself that credit.
And you made it through the biting phase.
And I made it through the biting phase, yeah. So we had like a strong run with breastfeeding, and then when I got pregnant again, it just like wasn't doable for us, which is fine.
He was kind of over it too.
He was over it, yeah. Once he hit like 14 months, really once I got pregnant again, he started to lose interest.
Yeah, he was like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this doesn't taste the same. And you're not my mommy. You're this big person now.
Someone else's mommy.
Yeah. That being said, though, it'll be interesting to see if he wants it again when this baby's here, because since we've been visiting Texas, every time Ezra gets a bottle, Christian wants one.
Yeah.
And Christian goes, bottle, and tries to grab Ezra's bottles, and has been like jealous in that way. So I'll be curious to see. He's never tried to nurse since we stopped, but I'll be curious to see if he does once we have a second one. But
I think he'll try it.
I think so too. And then for you guys,
we tried that first day, and he ripped both my nipples in half.
He literally ripped part of her nipple off. They gave her this like
jelly pad.
Yeah, this like gel pad for her nipple to heal it. And then there was one point where I'm walking through the hospital room and it's on the counter, and I was like, is that your nipple on the pad right there? And it was like a literal, like, it looked as if someone would have just like snapped part of her nipple off.
It hurt so bad. He did it to both of them, a day, not even a whole day old. And
they called him an aggressive eater.
It's factual.
It is so factual. So they ended up doing, if you guys saw our videos from the hospital, that's why he's like getting little formula bottles in the hospital, because for her nipples to heal, they told her
to take a day off.
Yeah, they told her wait 24 hours to even try again so that it could heal. And then
I did not try again.
Yeah.
I was too scared.
I don't blame you after that. I wouldn't either.
No, it was like, he latched good. He had like good. He was going at it.
He just was going like at it.
Like, I only had colostrum, so it's just a few drops, and he's like, where's the rest?
Yeah.
And after that time he like got on there, and I felt this horrible pain, so I like pried him off, and he's like, my nipple just hanging off of his mouth, and I was like, nope. I just made the decision to exclusively pump,
which is so impressive.
It's a lot of work.
I bet.
It's kind of exhausting, but I will say that this is not sponsored, but since I bought the Willow, it is easier. Like, I pump on the car, I pump like sitting in the chair feeding him. It's a lot easier than like all those tubes.
Yeah, she has like hooked me on the Willow pump.
Everybody, I know it's so expensive, everybody needs Willow.
Yeah, I'll be getting one for this baby for sure.
You're pumping, get the Willow.
Yeah, after seeing how easy it is for her, and not easy to pump, but you know, like,
it's convenient.
It's convenient. And knowing how much of my life I spent pumping with my first baby, and that's like not even compared to you because you're only pumping. So that has probably helped a lot.
That Willow has saved me. At first I was like, that's so expensive, I can't do this. But it's, when you're exclusively pumping, you need all the convenience you can get.
Yeah.
Especially like when I go back to work, and my goal is to have enough milk for him for the first 6 months of life, because then he'll start eating food. And I mean, let's be real. He's kind of greedy. He'll probably start eating way before 6 months.
And so he's what, almost 3 weeks old? 3 weeks old tomorrow, and she has like 400 something ounces in her freezer. It is insane. So milk production is not an issue.
It came in the second day.
Yeah, like milk. She's got like amazing. We both have really good milk production. Yeah, like that shit is flowing. But
there's no problem with that. It's just him.
But his appetite. Yeah, in the beginning, I think.
Well, and now if he's with me and I'm trying to like get my pump on, he'll like root around, and I'm like, fine, if you want to try, and I'll let him. But then he realizes it's not coming out fast enough,
right?
So he'll slap it once, and then he like is done. Because
now he's used to bottles. And that makes sense. But it's worked for them. Like that's the whole goal of this video, is I wanted to share, you know, we've had like 2 totally different experiences, but like our babies are healthy and happy and fed, and that's all that matters. Everything else is like just details. Like,
it is. It's just details. I will say, like, if it took me a minute in the hospital to be like, well, and 2, first of all, Texas is pushy with the breastfeeding. Yeah. Like, there's commercials on the radio telling you how breast milk is the best milk if you want to be a good mommy. Like, all of these things. Even my breastfeeding class, like, they never once talked about what to do if you couldn't make it work. And they never once talked about how pumping, like, how to introduce pumping into your life. It was like, oh, if you want to pump when you go to work, because everyone can be a working mom now.
Because you have to last resort.
Yeah. Like, you can pay extra for this class. And I didn't do it because I was like, well, I mean, she's telling me it works for 98% of people. Why wouldn't it work for me? So I didn't even consider taking that pumping class. So I went into pumping blind. Like, you helped me a lot in the hospital with it. And the lactation consultant helped me a lot. We tried nipple shields to, like, trick him into getting on the boob, and it didn't work. And so I was like, frick it, I'm done. Yeah. But, like, once I made the decision to exclusively pump, I felt, like, confident in it, despite many people trying to discourage me from it.
And so your goal, because I know we'll get the question, is like, how long are you planning on exclusively pumping?
So right now, with the milk I have stored, he could eat for 16 days if he stayed with how his like pattern right now. Yeah. So I don't have nearly enough for him to. Yeah. So I probably will stop pumping maybe around like April or May.
Yeah.
And at that point, he'll be, you know, trying out foods. And,
yeah.
Also, I'm considering like doing like half of breast milk, half formula to stretch it out.
That's what I was telling her the other day that like, even though we had a really smooth breastfeeding experience, like I would never push that on anybody because it is such a commitment. Like breastfeeding, pumping, all of it is essentially like a whole full-time job in itself. And I know people feel like very strongly about it. I'm not the type to push one way or another. Like I really truly believe that everybody's different. Every baby's different. Every situation's different. What works for one person may not work for somebody else. So like just because something worked for Christian doesn't mean it will work for this baby. I may not be able to breastfeed with this baby, and that's okay, you know?
It's fine. Whatever gets the baby fed is what's most important. And I will say, if you guys didn't have such a smooth journey breastfeeding, I wouldn't even have tried. Like in my head, I never was going to be a breastfeeding mom. Yeah. And then I saw how good it was for you guys, and I was like, well, I understand the benefits of it. Like I can at least try for him.
Yeah. And it's like he's still getting breast milk now, but it's just a different way of getting it. And even if he was getting formula, it's like he's fed. That's all that matters.
Right. Yeah. It took me a minute to get there, but once I got there, I was like, nope, this is it. Yeah. And we're fine, and we're happy, and he's healthy. He's like the happiest little baby.
Yeah, he is. And he's so healthy.
Yeah. He's so thick.
He's getting thick already. It's good.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, moms know what's best for their kids.
Yeah. I waited for him way too long to have someone else tell me what to do with my kid.
Yeah. So, anything else? I feel like that's all the chapters. Trying to conceive, getting pregnant, being pregnant, delivering, postpartum, breastfeeding. So if you guys think of anything else that we didn't cover that you're curious about, leave a comment. Let us know. She will be visiting me in April. And hoping that time is on our side. It works out well this time the way it did last time.
Yeah, the last 2 times we're on a roll.
I know. We've got two deliveries down pat, perfect timing.
This new baby has to fall in line.
I know, better fit in. So we could always do more like videos and stuff around that time too.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for listening, and it was fun to like share our stories. And like I said, I hope if you are an expectant mom or a new mom, I hope this helps bring you some peace and some grace, and just like, I feel like the mom community needs to be more accepting of one another.
It does. I feel like sometimes it's harsh.
It is.
It makes you feel like, for example, looking at what deep freezers mom uses, because I have so much milk, and this person's like, you don't need to be using all that, having all that milk. What do you? But like, that's the only way my kid can eat. Like things like that. Like,
what's wrong with wanting a deep freezer? Like, who really? At the end of the day, who really cares? And I feel like, I think women in general are like that. Like, women don't have the ability to just like see something that they don't agree with and just like move about their day. Like
a lot of women don't.
A lot of women don't. And so like, there's so much judgment out there, and especially with motherhood, mom shaming, which is real. And so
mom shaming, and you as a mom, you feel that guilt anyway, so you don't need to hear it or get it from somebody else.
Totally. So that was today's goal. We are best friends, we are sisters, we have had totally different journeys. Both are beautiful and amazing and unique on their own. Thanks for watching. See you guys in my next video. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye.